Okay, so this is our final activity, and for our final activity what I do is I usually split you into groups and ask you to look at these different age groups. So we've got 0 to 6 months, 6 months to 2 years, 2 to 5 years and 5 to 9 years. And I ask you to write down on pieces of paper one thing that a child needs in that age group on each piece of paper. So I've done them for you because you're not here. So I'm just going to get onto the floor. I've now got a camera operative in the room who's going to follow me, hopefully, with the camera. So I'm going to get down on the floor. I'm going to see what we've got. So for a child of 0 to 6 months then, we might think about them needing fresh air, milk, love, nappies, clothing, affection, stimulation and interaction. I'll put this one over here. So for a child of 6 months to 2 years, they might need social activities, stimulation, affection, routine, safety equipment, adult interaction, food and toys. A child of 2 to 5 years, positive role models, affection, boundaries, play, friends, early education, food and routine. And lastly, a child of 5 to 9 years, interests, empathy, school, exercise, safe base, routine, food and affection. Okay. What I've built here is a wall. This wall is full of bricks, solid bricks. There is no reason to believe that this wall is going to fall down. This wall represents a child with a secure attachment. Now, what we're going to do now is speak hypothetically about some of the experiences that our children might have had. Usually within the training we watch a case study, but we're not able to do that today. So we're just going to think in general. Every child's wall will look different, but we're going to think in general about some of the children that you're caring for. So think about newborn babies, or your child when they were a newborn baby. Do we think they had enough stimulation that a baby needs? For a lot of our children, I would say no, probably not even half of what they need. So I'm going to take away some of that. Do they have enough fresh air? Possibly not. Do they have milk? A lot of our babies are weaned too early. We now know that weaning too early can be harmful to the organs. So have they had enough milk? Have they had appropriate food? Probably not. Has that child been loved and felt loved as much as we would want a child to feel? Possibly not. Have they had nappies? Maybe not always. I've had children that have been left without nappies on and they just sit in their mess. Have they had appropriate clothing? Some of our children know. Have they had as much affection as a newborn baby needs? And think about a newborn baby, how much they need to be cuddled and loved. Possibly not. Have they had enough interaction? And I would say this is one of the main things that a lot of our children are lacking, is that interaction. They're often just in their pram, in their high chair, in their buggy, just ignored. So think about our 6 months to 2 year olds, or your child when they were that young. Did they have enough social activities? A lot of our children are lacking in social activities. They just go around with the parent in their pram or whatever. Did they have enough stimulation? A lot of our children do not have adequate stimulation. They are very, very bored. Did they have enough affection? A lot of our children, again, are lacking when it comes to affection. Routine. A lot of our children have no routine whatsoever. Did they have appropriate safety equipment? A lot of our families can't afford safety equipment, or the money might be prioritised elsewhere. Did they have enough adult interaction? Again, a lot of our children don't. Did they have a healthy, balanced diet? An example I can give you is a child that came in who was 4 years old and had only ever eaten quavers. Did they have plenty of age-appropriate toys? A lot of our children don't have access to decent toys. So thinking about a 2 to 5 year old, positive role models. Well, the fact that they've been brought into the care system would suggest that those positive role models haven't been there. Affection, again, going back to the others, probably not. And sometimes when children get older, they're deemed as not needing as much affection. Did they have appropriate boundaries? A lot of our children might have boundaries 1 minute, the next minute they're not there, then they are, they don't know where they are, they might be too harsh, they're not appropriate. Have they had opportunities to play? A lot of our children just don't have opportunities to play. Have they got friends? Do they have opportunities to make friendships? Some of our children play out all the time, some of them don't have access to other children. An early education setting. So some of our children have been in nursery, some of them haven't, so we'll have that one. Healthy, balanced diet, again, I would say a lot of our children have not had decent nutrition and haven't had much of a routine. So think about a 5 to 9 year old then. Have they got interests? What I find with a lot of our children at this age, when they come into the care system, is they can't even tell you what they like. They can't tell you what they're interested in. They just say, don't know really, because those interests have never been promoted. Can a child of 5 to 9 years empathise? Well, children at this age should be able to empathise, but for a lot of our children, they can't see outside themselves. They can't consider how someone else feels or how their behaviour would impact on somebody else. So a lot of our children haven't got this. Are they going to school? Hopefully they are, but for some of our children, they might have experienced going one day, not the next. They might have had to look after their siblings some days. So schooling hasn't been what we would hope it would be. Have they got opportunities to exercise? For some of our children, they're too busy looking after their siblings, they're too busy worrying about things to access appropriate exercise. Have they got a safe base, somewhere they can call home that is safe? For a lot of our children, no, and that's why they come into the care system. Have they got routine? Again, a lot of our children have no routine. They might have a bit at school. Healthy, balanced diet, again, possibly not. And affection. By this age, a lot of our children are not getting the cuddles and the affection that they need. Okay, so have a look at my wall now. What's going to happen to this wall? It's going to fall down. This wall is going to crumble and fall down. What we need to do to this wall is build it up. We need to build this wall up to be as strong as it can possibly be, because this wall is the children that we're talking about. This wall represents the children that have experienced trauma. It shows the gaps that they have in their life, and the gaps that they have in their needs, and the gaps that they have in their development. So what we need to do is build it. Now, if we try and start to build this wall at the top, it's just going to fall down. Where we need to start building this wall is at the bottom. We need to start from the bottom and build it up. And what we might do is, we might never be able to rebuild a full brick. We might only ever be able to do this. And if we do this, and we have a few like that, what's going to happen in the future is, this wall will be stronger, but it's going to wobble. And what we're going to say is, when you wobble, I'm here. I'm here to support you. So how can we fill these bricks in? We can do practical things. So an example is a lady I worked with when I was in the adoption team. She'd adopted a girl who was now 7, and she rang up and she said, my daughter's asking for a dummy and a bottle, what should I do? And we said to her, give her a dummy and a bottle. So every night, for 7 nights, this lady cradled this 7-year-old girl in her arms, gave her a bottle, then gave her a dummy. And after a week, that little girl said, no more now, mummy. And what that lady had done was this. She was building those gaps, she was building the wall. Same thing goes for the way that we approach children. So, for example, with a child up here of this age who had the tiniest little knock and went, oh, we might say like, oh, you're all right, you'll be all right. We wouldn't say that to a newborn baby that hurt themselves. If a newborn baby hurt themselves and started screaming, we would be saying, oh my goodness, you poor thing, come here. If that child has never had that brick built, they're going to need it building, no matter how old they are, no matter how small that little knock is. Expectations of children, we need to think about the wall. We cannot expect a child up here just to sit at a table and eat with a knife and fork if they've never done that before. They might need to eat with their fingers like a toddler because they've never been there before. We can't expect a child who's only ever known swearing and has no appreciation that that's not socially acceptable to just walk into your home and stop swearing. We need to think about each child's wall, we need to think about each child's gaps, and we need to think about how we can build those gaps for them and fill them in. Because that's not only what these children need, but it's what these children deserve. And every single foster carer out there has the power to build this wall for this child, has the power to say to this child, you're worth something, you've got hope, I can make this better, I can help you, and when it gets tough, I'm here, I'm holding you up, and I can help you. I'm your safe person, you're not on your own. So please think about your children's walls. Please build these walls for these children, it's so important. And the last thing that I want to say is good luck with everything. I hope that fostering is everything that you want it to be. I hope that it's everything that these children deserve it to be. And I look forward to seeing you in the training room in the future.